Good evening, everyone. I will call this meeting of the Finance and Personnel Committee to order. We have everyone present, and we have no one signed up for public hearings. We will go to the top of our agenda. And the first item we have tonight is item 19-1113, a resolution amending Appendix C fee schedule, adding fees for special event, march, and public assembly permits, deleting fees for special event, outdoor cabaret licenses, and parade permits, and amending fees for carnival, circus, or menageries.
Move to approve as amended in legislature.
There is a motion by Councilmember Jansen, second by Councilmember Christians to approve as amended in Legistar. Is there any discussion? See, not all in. Councilmember Richmond.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So on the proposed fee increases in 2020, the petition for the neighborhood quiet zone, why did that increase by $50? Can anybody answer that? Anybody?
The neighborhood, that's not on this, not on this list. This is for the special event, outdoor special event permit fees.
Okay.
I think you are looking at the fee schedule for next Tuesday.
But it's the fee schedule that I'm looking at, 1113. So these fees include the petition for the neighborhood quiet zone.
Right,
So that's separate?
That's for next Tuesday.
Okay.
The fee schedule that is before F&P tonight is just for the special event outdoor or special event permitting fees.
Okay.
File 19-1113.
Okay.
And what you're looking at is for next week.
Okay. So then could you find out who requested an extra $50 for neighborhoods? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 19-1053, a resolution approving the 2020 to 2024 Capital Improvement Program budget. And there were some amendments. You'll saw they are in Legistar, and you did see that we had those emails and those memos from the mayors. Anyone have any questions about those amendments or those source of funds?
How do we move to approve with those amendments?
So the motion is to approve with those amendments. Motion by Councilmember Jansen, second by Councilmember Happel, and I'll recognize Councilmember Kalo.
Thank you. I hope this might be the appropriate place to speak. Tim, do you think this is, I'd like to speak on the amendment 499. Are we on that? That was to remove $150,000 from the 10th and Cass Historic District lighting and put it into 2020. Am I in the right spot on this? So I'd like that to be put back into the budget if it could be, or is this just the Burns Park? That's what my question is. What are you approving right now? The entire amendments, everything, moving the Burns Park money, and then also the amendment to move the money from the lighting to 2022? Okay, we are talking about, so because of the TID 11 money, the $300,000 that was in Burns Park, that has now been removed. So what I would like is the $150,000 for the neighborhood put back into the TID 11, because I think, Valerie, if you could speak to that, might there be that money now available?
Thank you. Yes, we took a look at this the other day, and with the kind of the switch that's taking place related to Burns Park and the TID 11 money, this would be able to be accommodated within the funding that's available in TID 11. We would be able to push the lighting money back in and be able to accommodate that with the funding source from TID 11.
Did you want to speak to that?
Is that in writing anywhere?
No, it's not attached to this. That would just be, I guess, an additional proposed change to these lists that were attached.
All right. So could you repeat that again so I can just get it down here?
Sure. So the item 499 that was in the mayor's memo that proposed to push the 10th and Cass Street Historic District Lighting Project, push that out to 2022, and that would have been, that initial proposal would have been based on the available funding in TID 11. And then the subsequent changes in the email that was just attached the other day that talked about this changes for Burns Park and bringing in other sources of funding for that. That's what would free up some TID 11 increment funding for the item 499.
So it's the TID 11 funding for item 499, and you want to add that change to the rest of the source of fund amendments that were in Legistar. Is there a second? All right. So I'm just going to take that as an amendment, and then we'll vote on the capital improvement budget as a whole. Did you have something to add, Councilmember Rich?
Thank you again, Mr. Chairman. I know I spoke with the mayor today and also our city engineer, Mr. Turtenwald, and item number 524, 525, Alley, Hamilton, Camp, and Harvey Streets is continuously having flooding issues up on the far north side. And I know that was taken out, moved to 2021 in the mayor's memo. I'd like to put that back in for 2020. We are spending a lot of time for staff, street department, and so on to maintain that alley as it's just a dirt alley. They have to grade it, they have to put gravel in it, and every time we have flooding, a lot of rain, it washes away again, and it's going into the people's side yards as well. So I would like, if at all possible, and I know I spoke with Randy, and I'm not sure what flooding number source that would be for those dollars to use those flood improvement dollars, but I would like that moved back into the capital budget if at all possible. We just completed 2 alleys on the north side that were having issues as well last year, and it surely has improved those neighborhoods by having that done. So whatever funding that could be, maybe Randy can enlighten us a little bit more on that as well, or Valerie. I think it was $67,000.
Go ahead. Yeah.
The way it's presented in the budget, the item number 524, the alley from Hamilton Street to Camp Street between Harvey and Hamilton, that was $67,000. It was proposed in the initial attachment in 2020, and then it was being proposed to push out to 2021. The funding source on that is special assessments. And then 525, that is stormwater for alley, Hamilton, Camp, and Harvey Streets, and that's $38,000, and that source of funds is stormwater utility funds.
But instead of using the special assessments to the property owners, that this last alleys that were paved this year, flood improvement dollars were used. And I called like 3 different times. Nobody could tell me what dollar amount, what pot of gold it came out of, and unfortunately, I just need some help with finding out what that funding source would be and what we used, over on Caledonia Street as well. So I think it's important to get that finished. We talk about floodplain, flood improvements, and, here we are not trying to solve some of the flooding issues. And I think this is probably the worst alley in the city right now with the flooding issues. So I'm hoping that whatever funds you can use would be important instead of charging that back. Whether it's through the TIF 13 money, that's fine too. So if that $67,000 can be allocated out of TIF 13, that's fine too. But, I guess, I don't know if the mayor wants to comment on that or not, but I think it's important to get that paved, and it does need, that stormwater funding source as well, instead of moving it out to 2021. Thank you.
Thank you. Any discussion on that recommendation?
I guess I would like to, maybe, can we give you until next Thursday to figure out what that funding source would be? Would that help?
I don't know. I worked on this for a week now, calling different departments, and nobody calls me back. I called planning, I called Randy, finally, we met yesterday briefly, called the mayor today, requesting this, do I get it out of contingency? It's like, I don't think so. But, we are doing so much for floodplain improvements. I think there's some funding sources there, but if need be, I guess we can come back, next week. But we're trying to approve the capital improvement tonight, so I don't know if we can do it next week. So I doubt it. I just like it moved back into 2020.
Mr. Mayor?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would recommend, the proper way to do this would be to make an amendment in a second and change the source of funds from the special assessment account to a different funding source. This plan has been in the works since April, so the fact that we haven't been able to figure that out up to this point, I think, is a problem. But I would recommend, because I do believe we've got monies in TIF number 13, that could be a funding source. So you could make a motion in a second for item 524 to change a source of fund from special assessments to TIF 13 increment. And that should take care of it.
Is that part of your original motion then?
I guess it would be separate, just like the other one.
Okay.
So we can combine those two.
Okay. Did we vote on the original amendment? No. We did not. So is this part of your original amendment? Okay, so we're going to change the source of funding for item 524 from special assessment to 13. And that's in addition to the other source of funding changes that we had. That's right, and the street lighting amendment. Okay, is everyone clear on the amendment? All right. Any other discussion on the amendment? You none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. And on the capital improvement budget as amended, I look for a motion. You have one more? Okay. Go ahead, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We did have one additional change that was kind of a late-breaking one here today, and that was for item, and I don't believe this is in Legistar. If it is, folks can correct me if I'm wrong. That's on the change to the TIF number 15 for the housing, changing that dollar amount. I'm looking at Bobby or Valerie. That's not in Legistar, is it, or is it? No.
No, we didn't
Okay.
get that into Legistar.
So I would respectfully ask the committee to make an amendment. It's on item number 495, which is the housing renovation account for TID number 15, which is the train TID, the train chart TID. Basically, just to change the dollar amount from $300,000 to $130,000 because we have finalized how much increment is available, and $130,000 is more in line with what's actually available. So I would ask you to change that dollar amount from 300 to 130 for that item for the year 2020.
Okay, so that's TID 15, the train chart, change it from 300,000 to 130,000 for 2020. Would anyone like to move that amendment? Move the amendment. A motion by Councilmember Ostrom, second by Councilmember Christians to move that amendment. Any discussion on the amendment? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. And then I'd look for a motion with those amendments. I'd look for a motion to approve the capital improvement budget, if there are no more amendments, to approve as amended. Motion by Councilmember Jansen and a second by Councilmember Ostrom to approve as amended. Any further discussion? See none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 19-1445, financial statements with independent auditors report as of December 31st, 2018. Valerie?
This item and the next item are, I can certainly answer questions if you have any on them, but these are motions to receive and file.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions? Otherwise, I would look for a motion. A motion by Councilmember Christian, second by Councilmember Ostrom to approve, and that is to receive and file. All right. Any further discussion? Councilmember Richmond.
Thank you. I was looking at the audit for December 31st, and one of the issues, it says type of auditor's report issued, material weaknesses identified, yes. Were there any specific weaknesses that you want to report on? Thank you.
Yes, the specific weaknesses were an internal control weakness, and that had to do with not having items ready for them when they came for their field work, and that was most specifically to fixed assets, which, because those are significant dollars, that can translate into a material weakness.
Thank you. Any other discussion? The motion is to receive and file. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 19-1446, the City of La Crosse, Wisconsin Federal and State Single Audit Report as of December 31st, 2018. Move to receive and file. Motion by Councilmember Ostrom, second by Councilmember Christians to receive and file. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 19-1509, a resolution levying special charges for services performed in 2019. Second. Motion by Councilmember Jansen, second by Councilmember Ostrom to approve. Discussion. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 19-1522, a resolution approving the purchase of a minivan for the La Crosse Center and appropriation of funds. Move to approve. Motion by Councilmember Ostrom, second by Councilmember Christians to approve. Any discussion? Councilmember Jansen.
I was just curious what that $30,000 was going to be spent on if it doesn't go to this van.
This is coming out of the previous year room tax that we have that's a carryover. And if it isn't used for this piece of equipment, we use it for another piece of equipment. That's what it's designated for those dollars.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We have item 19-191546, a resolution approving settlement agreement in the cases of Walmart Real Estate Business Trust versus the City of La Crosse, La Crosse County Circuit Court, case number 18-CV413 and 19-CV361. This is notice for closed session. I believe will we be needed taking this up in closed session?
We could start an open session if you prefer, and then if it gets to more legal advice questions, we could go into closed session then.
Okay. If there's any member of the committee that wishes to go into closed session, we could do so. I prefer that we do so at the end. Otherwise, we could take up this item in open session. There's a motion by Councilmember Jansen and a second by Councilmember Christians to approve. Any discussion? Councilmember Ostrom.
Thank you, Chair. I'd just like to hear some details on this agreement.
Sure. There are two lawsuits filed by Walmart. They're challenging their tax assessment for tax years 2018 and 2019. In the course of that litigation, there was court-ordered mediation. The parties went to mediation. The settlement agreement is a product of that mediation. It is a small, relatively small adjustment in the assessed value. It's a decrease in the assessed value by $275,000. The city originally had the property assessed at $10,175,000. Walmart asserted that the property's value was actually $8.5 million, so substantially less. We've settled on an assessed value of $9.9 million. That results in a small refund to Walmart for in 2018 for a little over $8,000. That amount would be refunded to Walmart, and the city would then do chargebacks under state law to the other taxing jurisdictions. The 2009 assessment would be adjusted still in this year.
Thank you. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 19-1556, a resolution authorizing the mayor to file application for transit operations and capital assistance for 2020 with the Federal Transit Administration. Motion by Councilmember Ostrom and second by Councilmember Christians to approve. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 19-1557, a resolution authorizing the mayor to file for 2020 transit operations and capital assistance with the Wisconsin Department of Transportation. Motion by Councilmember Ostrom, second by Councilmember Christians to approve. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 19-1578, a resolution appropriating utility funds to pay for the water and sanitary sewer design for LaCrosse Street from Losey Boulevard to Oakland Street. Motion by Councilmember Jansen, second by Councilmember Seliznico to approve. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 19-1579, a resolution appropriating utility funds to pay for the water and sanitary sewer design for South Avenue from Green Bay Street to Ward Avenue. Motion by Councilmember Jansen, second by Councilmember Seliznico to approve. Discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 19-1621, a resolution authorizing the execution and delivery of certain agreements for the acquisition, financing, refinancing, and leasing of certain equipment for the public benefit with the terms herein provided, authorizing the execution and delivery of other documents required in connection therewith, and authorizing all other actions necessary to the consummation of the transactions contemplated by this resolution. Motion by Councilmember Jansen, second by Councilmember Christians to approve. Any discussion? Councilmember Jansen.
Director of Finance, could you maybe give us a summary of all that reading that I did? Can you put that into a few paragraphs?
I can attempt to do that. This was written by, no offense, but by an attorney for Bank of America wanting this resolution in place. So previously, and I'm not sure if it was exactly last month or the month before, you approved a phase 2 sort of a change order to the phase 1 with Johnson Controls, which the initial Johnson Controls project had to do with the lighting changes, some HVAC improvements, the boilers for City Hall. I feel like there was the chillers at the library. So that is phase 1, and we entered into a financing agreement with Bank of America with a tax-exempt lease purchase to fund that. So this phase 2 has to do with some solar panels on a couple of different municipal buildings. And that's what came before you on the change order either last month or the month before. This resolution was really required by Bank of America because the interest rate for phase 2 is 2.4%, where on phase 1, I believe it was 3.35%. So this resolution in all of these words has to do with allowing us to refinance the phase 1 borrowing into the new lower interest rate along with the financing for phase 2.
So the sentence that talked about an interest rate of a maximum of 10%, we're not anywhere near that? That's just one of those attorney...
That is, we are not paying 10%. We would go out for bonds if that were the case. We can get a much lower rate on that. The 2.4% is the tax exempt rate, and that's the rate that we'll be paying. And those documents will be, I believe we're scheduled to close on this new change order and the refinancing, I think in about 2 weeks' time, but that will be well documented in there, and it's the 2.4% we have agreed upon that interest rate, and also signed off that that's going to be the rate we're going to close on this at.
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. And no bargaining tonight? Valerie, no updates?
No collective bargaining updates. Thank you.
Thank you. Then I would look for a motion to adjourn. A motion by Councilmember Christian, second by Councilmember Slivnico to adjourn. All in favor? Opposed? Thank you. We are adjourned.